All right. Are we in there? All right. So now I'm going to just take some of this into the middle, all of this, to make my grays for my silverware. And I might pick up a little cobalt. It depends on how warm or cool or whatever it is that I need. And you can see that where I've touched off on the edges to sample my colors to see if that's the right shade that I want. And this is a number 12. This is a Gray Matters brush that was a prize from one of the Richardson Awards, I think, that I got from one of them.
They're pretty nice.
They are nice. They are nice. And this has just a little bit, right in here, there's a little bit of yellow, so kind of a yellow glow, so I'm going to drop a little bit of gold into that area. And that's wet. And there's a little bit of pink back in here. So touch that just a little bit. And this is going to, you know, I know that I'm going to tell y'all stuff that you already know, but in case that there's some new ones that don't know, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, I can go ahead and go to this next spoon because there's a masking line, and so that's going to stop my watercolor. But watercolor dries lighter, like 50% lighter. So if you think that that's about the right, three times. If you think that that's about the right color, oh, I love that, it's going to dry lighter. So, you know, bump it on up. And I'm going to do some glazing layers, so I'm okay with having this a little bit lighter than what I think I might need. There's a little bit of pink. This pink area is masked, but there's some kind of a little pink area right in here. And some of that gold right in this area. So get that in there. And because this little edge is darker, let me go ahead and pull up a little bit, just a little bit more pigment. Get in there. There we go. One more of that. Because you know all those colors, they make what? Mud. Or a nice dark gray.
We call that earth tone.
Earth tones, yeah. All right, let me get a little bit more blue in there. Okay. This is still wet, so right in this little edge right here, I'm going to drop that so that that can just kind of bleed over. And up in this tip is kind of dark too. So we'll just let that do what it wants to do for a little minute, and around this needs a little bit of touch. And I'm not going to do all of these spoons because you can kind of get the idea. This one, I forgot to, I think I changed my mind whenever I was doing the original one to go ahead and catch that. So it's the same value as this back. But it has a white edge that kind of sets it apart. This little spoon on this side, and this is the last spoon I'm going to do, it has a little bit of a yellow cast in the middle of it. So I'm looking past what you initially see. Some of these pink reflections, I think, or me, was probably my shirt that I was wearing whenever I was photographing this. So, at least not my face is not in there, so, yeah.
That'd be a good self-portrait.
Oh, it would, yeah, kind of a little distorted, little
Yeah.
tilted off there. And I was really surprised that my Antwerp blue, that all by itself, was really the color of the ball jar, because I thought I'm just going to have to add some yellow to it to make it a pretty turquoise. But whenever I thinned this down, it was just exactly the right blue to do the jar. So that's all I'm going to do on those spoons right there. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the jar part of this. And I tested it off down here. See, I've got a couple of little areas that are dark. I'm going to leave those off. I should have already gone ahead and done those, but I'll just leave them off right this second. And again, this masked area, it's going to be white here in a little bit. And that's a little turquoise right in there. And this is really thin down in this area. A little bit more water to that. And that's kind of purpley. Right in this area, there's a little purpley. That's a little bit too much. Get some more of this blue. I love painting glass because, you know, you just have to see past what you think you're actually seeing to really see what's in the glass. And I love the distortion of the rings that are here. I'm going to go ahead and follow this path right here, this spoon. And whether that's actually that same spoon or not, I'm not really for sure. But one of the other things too is being sure of your values, because a lot of times like this, it's pretty dark down there, and I kept going back over that because I thought, man, I'm getting that too dark. And whenever I would fold to see, am I dark enough? Are my values right? Invariably, I would be too light. And that's going to be a little bit dark in that little area right there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do of that. So that would be like the first glazing layer, or the first layer, little wash of color. And I would go ahead, let me catch that dark one, because I would go ahead and do it dark to start off with. So my first remembrances of art, or I'm going to pick up some cobalt, just kind of shift that color just a little bit, was when I was 5 years old. We lived in a trailer park, and I had created art and carried it to the neighbors and sold all of the pieces of art. So I was hooked. Once I found out that I could make art and sell art, yeah, I'm like, okay, I like doing this, and especially with having all those art supplies all around all the time. And skip that area and let me get just a little bit more red in that little area right there. Okay, I'm going to do this in this spoon. This doesn't have this, but I'm going to do this for you here. I want to lift a little bit of a shape out of this. So I'm going to wash my brush off. Get most of the moisture off of it. Take it off with my fingers. And I'm going to just make it a thirsty brush, and I'm going to pull up and lift a little curve in that spoon. And then we'll let that, it'll probably fill in a little bit more, but we'll just leave that like that. And this would probably actually, at this point, have a wash over the ball part of this, the name of this jar. So let me go ahead and put that in there. I'll come back to these later on to finish this up, but I'm not going to finish this in this piece, this session. That will be at home later on. Okay, so that's that glazing layer. So let me set that to the side.